given the decades of wisdom that has built up in the business world, investors, it sounds like you're saying, are making a big speculative bet if they're investing in your company's stock.
Well, I think all internet companies, the stocks are incredibly volatile, and
But even long term.
Long term, I believe that it's very easy to predict that there are going to be lots of successful companies born of the internet. They're going to have very large market caps and so on. I also believe that today, it's very hard to predict who those companies are going to be.
Jeff Bezos nasceu em Albuquerque, Novo México, nos Estados Unidos em 1964. Em 1986 Jeff se formou na prestigiosa Princeton University, conquistando um diploma de engenharia elétrica e ciência da computação. Imediatamente foi para Nova York, trabalhar na internacionalmente famosa Wall Street, onde ficou até 1994. Em julho de 1994 começou na garagem de sua casa a construção do que hoje se tornou a Amazon. Embora a história da Amazon comece com uma livraria virtual, Jeff sempre teve em seus planos o objetivo de expandir. Bezos dizia que o crescimento da internet o ajudaria a um dia superar a competição dos varejistas físicos da época. Hoje sabemos que ele estava certo. Você sabia que o negócio não foi recebido com muito entusiasmo quando lançado? Muitos inclusive consideraram que fracassaria? Em 1999, a expansão da Amazon teve início. Um plano audacioso, que desencorajaria muitos executivos e afastaria as pessoas que não queriam trabalhar. Neste ano, a Amazon começou a mudar os rumos e a expandir as áreas de atuação, permitindo que empresas terceiras vendessem seus produtos por meio do website. Nos primeiros 4 meses após o lançamento da novidade, mais de 250 mil pessoas já haviam comprado de uma empresa terceira pelo site da Amazon. É coisa de louco mesmo. Começou como uma livraria virtual e agora é a maior varejista do mundo. Para chegar até a colossal multinacional que conhecemos hoje, a Amazon precisou trilhar um longo caminho. Hoje, a empresa atua em diversos ramos, atendendo a uma variedade de países no mundo todo e levando seus serviços de varejo e venda para o próximo nível. Mas algo sempre perseguiu a Amazon. Uma simples pergunta acompanha a trajetória da gigante mundial. A Amazon vai falir? Tanto que agora uma notícia promete gerar polêmica. A Amazon planeja a maior demissão em massa de sua história.
So, you can make bets on these things, and I think that if we're not one of those important, lasting companies born of the internet, we will have nobody to blame but ourselves, and that we will be extremely disappointed in ourselves. But there are no guarantees. It's very, very hard to predict. If you go back and look at the companies created by the PC revolution, in 1980, you probably wouldn't have predicted the 5 winners.
Você já pensou na possibilidade de ter o seu emprego, profissão ou atividade de sua renda principal ser substituída por alguma tecnologia nova? Dependendo do ofício, isso pode acontecer mais cedo ou mais tarde, assim como já aconteceu algumas vezes na história. Tanto que, de uma vez só, várias pessoas podem ficar desempregadas da noite para dia em apenas uma empresa. Esse é o motivo mais popular para justificar o desemprego em massa na indústria tecnológica. Mas existe outro motivo impopular para isso acontecer: redução de custos. Existe um planejamento da Amazon que assombra os corredores da empresa, atemoriza acionistas e deixa o mundo inteiro ansioso para ver o que vai acontecer. O planejamento da Amazon revelado nesse ano consiste na execução da maior demissão em massa de sua história. E uma coisa é certa: onde há fumaça, há fogo. A mesma empresa que dominou o mundo através da internet deve executar o plano de demissão de colaboradores em breve, e as consequências que podem surgir depois dessa decisão são inimagináveis. O plano não surgiu ontem e também não é para prejudicar o futuro da empresa, mas para um bom entendedor, meia palavra basta. Outra coisa é indiscutível: por mais que seja em prol do futuro, prosperidade e sucesso da empresa, temos que ter consciência que estamos falando do corte de, no mínimo, 18 mil funcionários. A quantidade de 18 mil funcionários, olhando a partir de uma perspectiva mundial, pode não parecer muita coisa. Até porque pimenta nos olhos dos outros pode ser um refresco para alguns. mas atualmente significa a maior demissão em massa da história da companhia, enquanto luta para economizar custos. A maior parte dos cortes será feita em suas lojas, incluindo Amazon Fresh e Indigo, e em seu departamento de recursos humanos. O CEO da empresa, Andy Jassy, atribuiu as demissões ao cenário de incerteza na economia, dizendo que havia contratado de forma acelerada ao longo de vários anos. Não tomamos essas decisões levianamente, nem subestimamos o quanto elas podem afetar a vida das pessoas atingidas, disse ele em comunicado à equipe. Ele afirmou ainda que o anúncio havia sido antecipado porque um dos funcionários da empresa vazou a informação do plano de cortes.
The 5 biggest winners. There have been lots of winners, actually. So this space is a little different, and brand name may mean more, and there's some increasing returns kinds of things may mean more. But I believe that if you can focus obsessively enough on customer experience, selection, ease of use, low prices, more information to make purchase decisions with, if you can give customers all that, plus great customer service, and with our toys and electronics, we have a 30-day return policy. If you can do all of that, then I think you have a good chance, and that's what we're trying to do.
You're not really a pure internet company anymore either, are you? I mean, you've got millions of square feet now of real estate. You've got a huge and growing inventory of items that you keep in stock.
We do whatever.
And you've got thousands and thousands of employees now.
Yeah, we have over 3,000 employees and over 4 million square feet of distribution center space. And those are things I'm very, very proud of, because with that distribution center space and half a dozen distribution centers around the country, it allows us to get product close to customers so that we can ship it to customers in a very timely way, which improves customer service levels. That's what we're about. If there's one thing Amazon.com is about, it's obsessive attention to the customer experience, end to end. And that's what those distribution centers are.
But you're not a pure internet play.
It doesn't matter to me whether we're a pure internet play. What matters to me is do we provide the best customer service. Internet, schminternet, that doesn't matter.
Well, but it does matter to your investors to know whether they're investing in a company that
No, they should be investing in a company that obsesses over customer experience. In the long term, there is never any misalignment between customer interests and shareholder interests.
Hi there, who are you?
I'm Jeff Bezos.
And what is your claim to fame?
I'm the founder of Amazon.com.
Where did you get an idea for Amazon.com?
Well, 3 years ago, I was in New York City working for a quantitative hedge fund when I came across the startling statistic that web usage was growing at 2,300% a year. So I decided I would try and find a business plan that made sense in the context of that growth. And I picked books as the first best product to sell online, which are making a list of like 20 different products that you might be able to sell. And books were great as the first best because books are incredibly unusual in one respect, and that is that there are more items in the book category than there are items in any other category by far. Music is number 2. There are about 200,000 active music CDs at any given time. But in the book space, there are more than 3 million different books worldwide active and in print at any given time across all languages, more than 1.5 million in English alone. So when you have that many items, you can literally build a store online that couldn't exist any other way. And that's important right now because the web is still an infant technology. Basically right now, if you can do things using a more traditional method, you probably should do them using the more traditional method.
What kind of inventory do you keep?
We inventory the best-selling books. At any given time, we're inventorying in our own warehouse only a couple of thousand titles. And then we do almost in-time inventory for another 400,000 titles or so. We get those from a network of we order electronically from a network of wholesalers and distributors. We order those today, they're on our loading dock the next morning. Then for another 1.1 million titles, we get those directly from 20,000 different publishers, and those can take a couple of weeks to get. And then there are 1 million out-of-print books in our catalog. We have a catalog of 2.5 million books altogether. Those 1 million out-of-print books, some of them we can get and some of them we can't, but we find them if we can, and then we ship them to our customers. We do kind of a search on those.
What's almost-in-time inventory?
Almost-in-time inventory is the phrase we use to describe a whole selection of books that we offer. It's basically the things that are, below the 2,000th best-selling book up to the 400,000th best-selling book. Those are titles that we can get from a network of more than a dozen different wholesalers. So if a customer orders a book from us today, we order that book from our wholesalers today, and that book shows up on our loading dock the next morning, and then we can ship it to the customer.
They say one of the toughest things to do on the internet is to capture mind share. What was your secret? How did you do that?
Yeah, even more generally, I agree with you that capturing mind share on the internet is extremely difficult. Even more generally, it's the late 20th century, not just the internet. Capturing attention. Attention is the scarce commodity of the late 20th century. And one of the ways that you can do that, and it's the way that we did it, was by doing something new and innovative for the first time that actually has real value for the customer. That's a hard thing to do, but if you do that, then newspapers will write about what you're doing, customers will tell other customers, and you'll get a huge sort of word-of-mouth fan-out, and that can really drive and accelerate businesses, and that's what happened with us. In the first year of opening Amazon.com to the public, we didn't do any paid advertising, and all of our growth was fueled by word-of-mouth and media exposure.
I saw little ads at the bottom of the column of the New York Times.
That was our very first advertising. We don't do that anymore, but at the very beginning, we did little tiny ads at the bottom of the front page of the New York Times.
I thought that was very clever. It's sort of using a URL as a macro, because I read...
That it expands.
We're a bookstore, click here.
Right. That's a great way to think of it.
And it worked very well, apparently.
I don't know, the problem with that kind of advertising is it's extremely difficult to track.
Put a different URL for every...
That's the problem, is that you want people to start to learn your URL, so you don't want to actually use a different one. And it's very easy. One of the great things about online ads, we do advertising today in maybe 40 different, on different websites. We do banner ads. And that advertising is very easy to track in terms of knowing how effective it is. So we know for each piece of creative in each venue, not only how many click-throughs we get, but how many sell-throughs we get, and how many dollars of revenue it generates per ad dollar spent on that creative in that venue. And that is a sort of a marketer's nirvana in a certain sense.
Well, it's an exciting place to be on the web right now.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, it's just incredible. What's really incredible about this is that this is day one. This is the very beginning. This is the Kitty Hawk stage of electronic commerce. We're moving forward in so many different areas, and lots of different companies are as well. And the late 20th century is just a great time to be alive. We're going to find out that, I think a millennia from now, people are going to look back and say, wow, the late 20th century was really a great time to be alive on this